Hello world, Yotam Shinan from Tabnine here, and I have Faye Sipiano with me, and we're gonna talk about developer advocacy. What is it? Who should be and who should become a dev advocate? And we'll just have a nice chat here, and you're all welcome to listen to it and hit your comments. And let's start with you, Faye. Tell us about yourself.
Hey, yeah, I'm Faye. I yeah, I've got quite a cool community on Twitter, and I'm everyone kind of assumes that I'm some sort of JavaScript expert, but I'm definitely not. I'm a beginner, pretty much. I've only been learning for just over a year now. Before that, I'd never done coding before, so yeah, I'm a beginner, but I like learning and teaching, and yeah, and we'll talk about that a bit because I think that's why I've sort of fallen into advocacy because I think it sort of amalgamates everything that I've done, even though it seems so random.
So random, and yet it seems like you found your way into the JavaScript world, and I see people asking you questions about how to get things done with JavaScript. And I think it has something to do with the fact that your name on Twitter is JavaScript and coffee. And
Yeah.
but I can understand it. I started coding myself less than 2 years ago, and once you get a grip on JavaScript, it becomes like another part of your body.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
like I have two hands, one nose, and JavaScript. That's
Yeah.
that
Yeah. There's definitely like a section in my brain just for JavaScript.
yeah. Well,
I'm not sure quite what's in it, but it seems to know some things.
it seems to know some things, and it has something that just draws us all in once we start playing with it, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, my background, like I said, is not sort of coding at all. I I've been a carer. I've been a teacher. And then I did a business qualification, and I realized, hey, like business world is kind of fun. Um, and I enjoyed that sort of creative freedom. And then I was an office manager for a while in a fintech company. Um, so I mean, completely not anything coding related. And then I ended up I just sort of woke up one day after that role got made redundant because of, coronavirus. But we don't talk about that.
Why not? Let's
And
talk.
I
Let's
just,
talk about COVID
yeah.
19.
So there's like a pandemic. I don't know if you've heard,
I
but
heard
yeah. So
something.
that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah. And then I was like, I'm gonna learn to code. I don't know what made me choose JavaScript, to be honest. Um, and yeah, and JavaScript and coffee was available on Twitter, so I went with that, and the rest is history.
Maybe that's how it started. First of all, you checked for what is available on Twitter. Then you said, JavaScript and
Yeah,
coffee is available. I'm gonna go
yeah,
for JavaScript. Python can be
yeah,
can be
exactly.
left to the tea lovers.
Yeah, exactly. PHP and coffee must have been taken.
I think it's a beautiful thing that, well, coding and programming in general used to be a world that was saved just for people who are naturally born geeks who are deep down into gaming and into math and programming. And I think that these days this world is a lot more open to people who are just
Mhm.
who find their interest in tech in general, even later on in their lives. You said you've been into all sort of businesses. You were a teacher before that. I used to be a flight attendant before I realized that what I want to do with my life is to play with code.
That's cool.
So that's one thing that is really beautiful. That's a good change that came to this world. That now it's a lot more available for everyone.
Hmm.
And yet we both self-taught ourselves how to code, and yet we found our way into dev advocacy
Yeah.
section of it. How
Yeah.
I know how I ended up there, but please tell me how did it happen? How did you become a developer advocate after only playing with JavaScript for a little while?
Yeah. So I guess I've always kind of enjoyed talking to people and interacting with people and teaching and all that kind of thing. And I'm an Apple geek, I suppose. I have a lot of, I've got Macs and Apple stuff sort of everywhere, watch and phone and Beats and everything. And so I'd been watching Raycast, I guess, for a while, and then I saw that they were looking for a dev advocate. And I was, like everyone, like, what does that role? What actually is it? So I started to look into it, and actually, it seemed to be exactly what I was already doing. Like on Twitter, community building, reaching out to people and helping people, and so it just seemed like a perfect match because Recast, it's a native Mac application, and we're building things for productivity nerds and people that like to build things. We're building for builders, I suppose, and that's what makes it so fun.
So congratulations for the new job. Where are you working now? Tell us about the company, about what you do.
Yeah, so Raycast is a productivity tool that is it the UI is beautiful, and it's very kind of Mac as you would expect. Like, it just looks great. The built-in extensions mean that you can be using Jira or Asana, or we use Linear, and Notion a lot, and you could everything's integrated and it's just smooth. There are hotkeys and aliases, so the whole workflow from start to finish. I tried it without using Raycast, and it took 1 minute and 8 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're doing it like multiple times a day, if you've got to load up the development environment sort of multiple times a day, it took 1 minute and 8 seconds. And then I wrote a couple of script commands and I put it into Raycast and I put a hotkey on it. It took 8 seconds. Like, it's just, no, not even 8 seconds. Like, oh, what was it? I think it was so free. I don't know. It was so fast. I don't know how they do it. I don't know the technical side of how they do it. But it's just, yeah, it was just, and I use that multiple times a day. I think it's Command W and just everything is just there. Like, it's great.
I love how everything is automated now.
Yeah, yeah,
Everything.
it is. It is, and it doesn't even just automate. I mean, it just seems to make it faster. Like I said, I don't know the technical side of how the guys do it, but yeah, it's just great.
And as a dev advocate there, don't you need to understand all the under the hood specs and details of the product? You feel like you have to be able to explain every part of it. You need to know how to communicate with the product team and with the R&D team and with clients. Are you expected to do all
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting there. It's been a very learning heavy month that I've been here, but yeah, I'm getting there. I want to, I suppose, being a dev advocate, you need to understand everything intrinsically. But everyone's great, and I can always ask questions for anything that I don't understand, and often it's understanding the users and the customers and people that are using Raycast on the other side. I'm talking to the team, and yes, I work here at Raycast, but really I'm on the other side. I'm kind of the bridge in between. I'm like the API, I suppose, the sort of in between
You're the human
between
API.
the back end, between the back end and the front end, where the front end is the users, because it can be, there might be a technical question, and I pass it on to the team, and we discuss it, and it is or isn't possible. But most of the time, it's how do I do this? I want to do this, and how do I do it? And it's knowing the product and knowing what people want, and sort of foreseeing that, I guess. Do you have the same kind of experience at Tabnine?
Well, definitely, yes. It took me a lot more than a month to understand everything that I need to understand in order to communicate both externally to the outer world. When I talk in meetups, in webinars, or when I post my comments in Stack Overflow or in GitHub, then I need to know what I'm talking about. And every product, every tech product is complicated. And you need to know what environments it takes them to run it in a proper way. And you want to be able to communicate all this information into the company and to deliver requests of users to the product team and to be able to explain it to the R&D team. And it takes time, but I find it fascinating that you need to know a bit of everything. You're not expected to, on my side, that's how I see it. I'm not expected to be an expert on every part of everything that we do, but I do need to have the whole picture in general, so I'll be able to explain it to everyone. Who are the people that you get to talk with the most in your day-to-day work?
Honestly, I think it's everyone. Raycast, there's 12 of us, so I get to speak to everyone on a daily basis, and everyone's great, and I kind of know what everyone does, and I know where I need to go if I need some designing or some, something that it kind of needs doing. But I suppose because I'm the first dev advocate that Raycast has had, there's been no one before me, so I'm in such a privileged position to I'm almost paving the way for myself. Like I'm sort of carving out my own path. This content that I'm creating, I can put my own stamp on it because there's no, I suppose, obviously there's the guidelines or whatever, or the sort of the way that things are normally done. But I'm in such a great position because I can kind of carve it out for myself.
So let me ask you, so far from what you gathered, what do you think are the qualities that make a good developer advocate? Yeah,
I think that's really interesting because everyone seems to kind of see it differently. Like some people might say that they need to be very technical and, like we said, know the product inside out from sort of and hit the ground running. But I think generally a developer advocate would need to be maybe a little bit extroverted, not shy, because sometimes we have to go in front of the camera and that's fine, and we have to talk to people and not be afraid to ask questions about things we don't know, because it's impossible to literally know everything about a product unless you yourself and only yourself have made it, I suppose. So not afraid to ask questions, so I suppose quite confident, and someone that enjoys learning, I think, because that would be in every sort of technical role, I suppose. Someone that likes teaching. I guess someone.
So being curious and confident, and have some passion, at least some passion for code. Otherwise, being a developer advocate might be a little hard.
Curious and creative, and if we're going with all the C's, and asking questions, and not shy. Probably not shy.
And for those
we have to do quite a lot.
and for those who wish to become a developer advocate one day, for hearing that from someone who just found her way into this world only a month ago, what will be your best tip?
I think spend time networking and spend time speaking to people, because although you think maybe that's not going to do much right now, I think it will in the future. And you might learn something along the way, so it'll be a win-win. And when you get to the point where you're wanting to reach out to companies, spend time looking into the company and making sure that you're passionate about what they do. Yeah, I think that's it.
All right. Faye, thank you so much for being here today. And I really, really wish that whoever is going to watch it will gain something and will take something with them. And hopefully, in a year or two, we will have 1,000 more developer advocates who started their journey watching this video. So on behalf of all of them, I wish to thank you.
And thank you for inviting me on.
Thank you, and have the best of luck in this career. And I think we're gonna hear a lot more about you, and we're gonna see some great things coming up.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me on. And it was great to chat to you.
It was all my pleasure. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.